So it's Katie here from the Queen of Teen Fiction, and it is that time again. It's time to catch up on all things Shadowhunters. So there is a lot to talk about today, because unless you have been living under a rock in this fandom, you will know that the Shadowhunters cast went to New York Comic Con over the weekend, and there they got to do their first ever panel, and we also got our first trailer for the show and our first ever look at footage from the show. So yeah, it's been a busy Shadowhunters weekend. So the first thing we got was a teaser trailer on Thursday, I think it was. Originally I was going to not watch any trailers and clips so that I could film an immediate reaction to them, but then I realised that they were probably going to keep releasing stuff over the whole weekend, and it would probably just be better to discuss it all at the end of Comic-Con, which is what I'm doing. So I have already seen the teaser trailer. If you haven't, which let's be honest, you probably have, it's on the Shadowhunters TV website and there's a link to that in the description. So the teaser trailer basically just showed us each character, and there was quite a lot of symbolism in it. For example, it showed Clary blowing out candles on a birthday cake, and the cake had angelic runes all the way around it. Also, it gave us lots of little hints into the characters and what goes on with each of them. For example, when they showed Simon, he had blood dripping down from his mouth. When the trailer showed Luke, he was standing in front of what looked like a full moon. I wonder what Luke could be. And then what I really loved is when it showed Alec, he was standing in front of the love rune, and very faintly behind him there was Jace on one side and Magnus on the other, which I thought was really great because they are his conflicting feelings throughout the first few books. So that was basically it for the teaser trailer. I'd love to be able to play the trailer for you in like a little video in the corner, but I'm a basic bitch when it comes to editing because I don't have any fancy editing software. So yeah, never mind. So yeah, that teaser trailer, I thought it was a great little insight into the characters. It also had this really awesome moment at the end where you could see the silhouette of Jace, Clary, Alec and Izzy, and then it had the logo at the top, and that looked really cool. So yeah, that was all good, but it didn't actually show us any footage from the show, which we all really wanted to see. So with no warning, basically, on the Friday, they gave us an actual trailer for the show. So I've watched it before, but I'm going to watch it again so that we can discuss things. So immediately at the beginning of the trailer, we have a little 10 years ago flashback, and it shows Jocelyn with Clary as a child going to see Magnus, obviously so that Magnus can put the block on Clary's mind. And I love that they're including that in the show. And first of all, we just get like one little flash of Magnus and it's awesome. He is already a million times better than movie Magnus. Next we have a scene from Pandemonium, and it's Clary as she's older bumping into Magnus, and Magnus clearly recognising her. Obviously in the books Magnus isn't in that scene, but I am so glad that they've put him in the scene in the show. And obviously there's the whole scene in Pandemonium and Clary accidentally kills a demon and then goes home in a panic. And then we kind of have Jocelyn showing Clary her runes and telling her that she needs to know the truth, which I was a bit confused over at first because in the book Jocelyn never has a chance to tell Clary anything. And then it kind of looks like Jocelyn teleports Clary somewhere, so I'm not too sure about that. So Valentine has like one line in this trailer, and already it's better than anything that movie Valentine said at all. He is just so much better as Valentine. And we have one sassy line from Dharma's Jace, and it's perfect. There's a really cool scene where we get a flash of all of them with a weapon, so you get Jace with his Seraph Blade, you get Izzy with her whip, and then Alec with his bow and arrow. And that is just such a good scene. We're finally getting to see the characters as they always should have been. We finally got Alec with his bow and arrow. And in this trailer alone, I'm seeing more of Izzy with her whip, which is great because we didn't get to see too much of that in the movie. We also have lots of shots of Alec looking pretty, obviously. And so I really liked most of the trailer. There were a few little scenes that I wasn't too sure about. Like I said, the Clary being teleported scene didn't look too convincing, but everything else was really great. But I have seen a few people say that the teaser was actually better than the trailer. I heard a few people say that it looked like a Disney Channel original movie, which is not what you want to be hearing. I didn't think that personally, but obviously some people did. And we've also got to remember that this is the first trailer that we've seen from the show. They have just wrapped filming on season 1. So obviously it's still a work in progress, there's still a lot to be done. It's kind of unfair to judge the entire show just by that one trailer, but personally I think it's good, and I think it's a good sign of what's to come. So also on Friday, Cassandra Clare did a panel at New York Comic Con, and she had Harry Shum Jr. reveal her cover for Lady Midnight. So that was really exciting as well, because we had been waiting for this cover for a long time, and I love that she got Harry to reveal it. And then on Saturday we had the panel with the main cast members. I was really excited to see them do a panel for the first time and see all of them chat together and answer questions. So before the panel got started, there was a 6-minute preview from the pilot episode. So it was the longest bit of footage that we'd ever seen from the show. Obviously I'm not going to go through the whole footage because, like I said, it's about 6 or 7 minutes long, and then this video would be way too long. But there are some things that I want to discuss, so I'm just gonna remind myself. So I'm assuming that this footage is from very near the start of the pilot episode, because I think this is the first time that we are introduced to the Shadowhunters. Because the first scene shows Alec, Izzy and Jace tracking somebody down. They are following somebody who keeps changing bodies, so I'm not sure whether he's some sort of shifter demon type thing, but it shows Alec following him, and then Izzy, and then Jace. And to me that looks like the first time they're introduced into the show. The guy that they're following eventually turns into a woman who they follow to Pandemonium. I'm assuming this is in place of the blue-haired demon. It shows Izzy putting a rune on her arm and then jumping very high. I'm assuming this is a new ability that I wasn't aware of. At first it looked like they were flying, but it seems to be some sort of super jump. And they obviously follow him to Pandemonium, and Clary is outside with Simon and his girlfriend, I think. But it actually shows Clary and Jace meeting outside the club. He bumps into her, and obviously she sees him and he doesn't expect her to. She follows them into the club basically to assure herself that she's not going crazy and that she is actually seeing people. And then once they're in the club, the Shadowhunters track down this demon who appears to be dealing mundane blood. So they track her down and kill her and the other demons that step in to protect her. Clary accidentally ends up killing one of them, and so that is that. Also, what we have in the clip as well is Magnus. I'm assuming that Pandemonium is his club in the show. He sees 2 members of the Circle in the club, tells them they're not welcome, and then uses warlocky magic on them to get them to leave. So I really love that, and at one point one of the Circle members says to Magnus that it's all ancient history, and Magnus has a line which is something like, "It seemed like the blink of an eye to me," and I thought that was really good because it's the first kind of hint that you get that Magnus is a lot older than he looks. And also straight away we're getting mentions of the Circle. Those 2 Circle members, who I assume is Pangborn and Blackwell, I think. But they do actually spot Clary and confuse her with Jocelyn, and I'm assuming that is how they find out where Jocelyn is. But I thought it was a great way to introduce Magnus into the show, and I'm really happy that they've decided to put him in the first episode. I just really, really loved that scene because in the movie Magnus was not Magnus at all. So to finally see a good portrayal of Magnus Bane is just amazing. Harry plays him perfectly. Clearly he was the right choice for Magnus. So on to the rest of it. I absolutely adored the fighting scenes because we finally get to see Jace and Alec working together as Parabatai. I'm pronouncing it correctly this time. I'm not saying Parabati like I used to. But seeing them actually fight together was really great. And also Izzy as well, using her whip, and at one point she actually seduces the other demons in the club. So I think we're finally getting to see the real Izzy that we should have got in the movie but didn't, because in the movie Izzy was kind of, I don't know, she just looked angry all the time, and very serious and stern-faced. And that wasn't the Izzy we know from the books, because she's a lot more fun and lively and confident and outgoing. And just from that one clip, I can totally see that TV Izzy is going to be like that. Emerald is a lot more like the Izzy I pictured. Also, Matthew is a lot more like Alec. I saw quite a few comments online of people saying that the effects were really bad and the graphics weren't good. I thought they were okay. For the people that are making comments about the graphics not being good and the acting being cheesy, which is something I've seen a lot of comments about. You need to remember that this is just 6 minutes from the episode. And like I said before, there is still work to be done on the show. Nothing is ever perfect in the first season of a show. I can understand a little bit why people are panicking, because this is really our last chance at getting an adaptation of The Mortal Instruments. We've already had a failed movie adaptation. If this doesn't go right, they're not going to pick it back up again. At least not now. Maybe 10 years down the line, but definitely not anytime soon. So a lot of people feel as though it has to be perfect, but we need to try not to worry about that. Otherwise it's just going to spoil the fun. But also there are some people that are just point blank against the idea of a television show anyway, and they're just going to complain about everything. So I try to ignore posts that are just exceptionally negative about the show. We have to understand that it is not going to be a perfect page-by-page adaptation of the book. And although at the start I was kind of on edge about the changes, I'm not so much now, because I think we've got a fantastic cast and they're portraying the characters brilliantly. So as far as changes are concerned, I'm getting more relaxed about them. I'm just looking forward to my favourite characters coming to life on screen, which they did in that clip. And personally I really enjoyed the clip and it's got me excited to see more. So during the panel at Comic-Con it was announced that we'd be getting a special documentary about the show that's going to air on December 6th, and it's going to be behind the scenes type of stuff. And I just think that's so awesome to get a documentary about the show before it even airs. I think it's also a very clever way to draw potential new audiences in. People who have never read the books before, this might be a chance for them to get to know what it's about. And I'm really excited to see it, because it means we get a look into the show a lot sooner than we expected. And then also at the panel they announced the official air date for Shadowhunters. And this is the one bad thing that I have taken away from this weekend. So it's going to be on January 12th at 9 PM, and it's going to directly follow Pretty Little Liars, which I think is a clever move because Pretty Little Liars is a very popular show. And obviously putting Shadowhunters on after that, they're hoping to draw in some of the audiences from that show. But also Tuesdays at 9 PM is the exact same time slot as Teen Wolf on MTV. Teen Wolf is one of my favourite shows, so knowing that it's going to have a schedule clash for Shadowhunters broke my heart a little bit, not gonna lie. Although here in Britain I can never watch US shows live anyway, I always have to stream them the following day. So the schedule clash isn't that much of a problem for me in terms of what I'm watching, but I know it will be for Shadowhunters who are also fans of Teen Wolf. And it also means that they're going to be competing for ratings with Teen Wolf. And Teen Wolf is a very popular show, it has a huge fan base. So I don't know if putting Shadowhunters on at the same time as that is a clever move, because I'm assuming they're aiming at the same type of audience. I just really didn't want Shadowhunters to clash with Teen Wolf. Also, when I was scrolling the Shadowhunters tag after the panel had finished, I saw so many people just trash talking Teen Wolf. There were posts that were saying, well, the next season of Teen Wolf's gonna be shit anyway, so don't watch it, watch Shadowhunters. And I was just like, no! I could just feel my soul ripping apart. I don't want to watch my favourite fandoms shout at each other. That's not what I want to see. Don't do this to me! So that's the one thing that I have been unhappy about this weekend. To all of the Shadowhunter fans who are also major Teen Wolf fans, I am sorry for your pain, because you are going to have to make a weekly sacrifice. Because each week you're going to have to sit down and make that hard decision as to what show you're going to give your rating to, and what show is just going to be recorded for later. I feel so sorry for the choice you have to make. So if you missed the panel, I think you can watch the whole thing online, so I'll try and find a link to that and leave it in the description, because the panel was really, really great. It's the first time we really got to see the actors talk about their characters. It actually got really emotional at some point because the fans got to ask questions, and there was one girl that was talking about Malik and how they had kind of changed her life, and she got brought on stage by the producer and she got to have a Malik hug and hug the rest of the cast members, and that was really emotional. And then somebody else got to come up on stage, and then towards the end the panel just got out of control because everybody was getting hugs. So that was exceptionally sweet. And there were some great questions and we got a great insight into the show. One of the things that stood out from the panel was somebody saying that Hopefully they'd be able to bring characters from Cassie's other work into the show. And that immediately just made me think, Imperial Devices. So that is definitely another reason why we cannot let this show fail. We have to get a second season of this show because Will Herondale, Jem Carstairs, Tessa Gray, like, I need this to happen. That is all I've ever wanted from this show, is for them to eventually do flashbacks to the Imperial Devices, because I think it's a great way to bring that into the show. So I want flashbacks. Yeah, but like I said, they spoke about lots of things that I can't remember right now. There have also been lots and lots of pictures of the cast posted online, which you'll be able to find on Twitter and Tumblr, which you've probably already seen. There are so many pictures. So it's been a really busy and exciting weekend for Shadowhunters. This is the most new material that we've ever got, and it's the biggest look at the show we've ever got. I really hope that it has left you more confident about the show. I know it's left me more excited. So that covers the Shadowhunters updates throughout this weekend. What did you think of the trailers and the clip? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Tell me all the things in the comments. Anyway, thanks for watching. I will see you next time. Bye! There are some really weird bangs happening in this room. Convinced I'm being watched by a ghost.